Okay, boys and girls, what we got here is the beginnings of our corridor. We did this as a little test. This is 1/2-inch electrical conduit, and as you can see, it's fairly wobbly, but honestly it's a pretty good join. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it to the walls with wires to stop that from happening so much at the top. So I think altogether it's going to work pretty well. And then next year we can work on something a little more sturdy, but this is really cheap. I'm going to show you how we do this, and it's especially cheap right now because there's a sale at Menards on the electrical conduit. So if you watch for the electrical conduit to be on sale, this is dirt cheap. I got a 10-foot section of this 1/2-inch electrical conduit for $1.50 each. So you know, do the math on your space, and then we cut it to fit. Our corridor is going to be 3 foot wide, so this is a 3 foot wide corridor. It's not going to be 10 feet long, so there will be a little more stability in it when we finally get it done. But what's interesting is that I actually used these little junction boxes. They're electrical junction boxes, and I'll show you one disassembled, but that's what it looks like assembled. Okay, so this is a junction box. This thing was, I want to say, 50 cents on sale. I understand there are plastic versions available. I couldn't find any. They might be a little cheaper. So anyway, they come with these little holes filled, so you punch out the little holes where you need them. I only needed 3, so that's what's punched out. But you could really do all kinds of things because there's a hole on each side. The one thing you want to be sure of is that you're getting the diameter of the pipe that you're using. This is one that I bought that was a bad buy because it has 3/4 inch and 1/2 inch. So I kind of made a mistake there because I needed everything to be 1/2 inch. So anyway, but that will allow me to show you what one unassembled looked like. And then you just get these little fittings here. And what these are is they've got a little thing like that. And you just pop that jobber on there. And then you put this on the other side and you tighten it up. And it becomes really fairly tight. See, you can see with your hand you can't really turn it. So this is something, even with this 10-foot pipe section, I was able to set up on my own. You know, it's a 7 foot tall. Fortunately, I'm 6 foot, but you know, depending on how tall you want it, you may need a ladder and you may need a hand to get the top on, depending on how tall you are and how tall your corridor is. But for me, it works fairly well. And come Halloween time, when I'm actually setting the corridor up, I'll show you guys how I tied it off to get a little more structure. But just thought you guys might enjoy seeing that. The last thing I will remark is that there are some sharp edges on the sides here, so be careful when you're playing around with it. Also, when you punch the holes out, there's a little bit of sharp, jagged stuff there, so be careful there. And you may want to mount this onto a piece of wood or something, or they have some rubber grip paint that you can buy that I'm going to put along the bottom edge of mine so that it doesn't scratch up my in-laws' nicely painted garage floor. They spend a lot of money doing that. But basically you slide the pipe in and then you just tighten this little screw down on it. You can make it a whole lot more sturdy by actually taking this screw out and then drilling into the pipe and putting the screw through into the pipe. But I don't think we're going to do that. I think we're just going to leave it as is, so it will be quick to set up and quick to take apart. Because like I said, this took me altogether, assembling the boxes, putting the 3 connectors on the boxes, took me about 20 minutes while watching TV. So it's something that you can do in the evening while watching TV to get ready for your assembly. And then assembling all the pipes spent about I don't know, maybe about half an hour for that one section, if that. And it would have gone a lot faster had I had somebody else helping me. But it's something that you can do on your own. And like I said, that's a 10-foot section in 20 minutes. I don't think anybody can do that by themselves with wood. If they can, I'd love to hear how they do it, because we might go back to using wood again. But anyway, this is cheap. I think it's actually cheaper than wood, and if you factor in time and ease of construction, it's very simple. If you want to go slightly more sturdy and slightly more expensive, you could go with the 3/4 inch piping and the 3/4 inch fittings. Oh yeah, the fittings. I got a bag of 50 for $5. So, however that figures into your equation. So anyway, altogether, let's see, how much is that? 50 for $5, that's 10 cents a fitting. No, it wasn't 50, it was 100 for $5, yeah. So, 5 cents a fitting, so 5, 10, 15 times 8 would be 120, so that's $1.20 for the fittings. And then the boxes were 50 cents each times 8. Too much math. So that's $5. And then the piping was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tubes at $1.50. So that's 3, 6, 9, 12. So all for under $20, and I still have some parts left over for the fittings. So $20 for a 10-foot corridor, not bad. Nice things that I figured out as I was disassembling. This took me all of 2 minutes to disassemble. All I did was took out the middle sections between the two so I could leave the frame set up. But as you can see, storage, very slim storage. So, you can leave it stored in your garage, taking up very little space. If you bother to take, more apart, it can store in even a smaller space, but I just wanted to have the wall frames to stay together, so I just left them like that. So very easy to store. And the last thing I would suggest is when you're putting your boxes together, try and figure out where your tightening screws are going to be. What I did was I called this piece here the top of the box. So I had any screws that were on the outside of the box pointing towards the top of the box to make it easier to tighten. And these I always tried to have pointing towards the outside corner. So if these two are your joins, that's your inside corner there, and that's your outside corner. So I always tried to have the screws pointing out to make things easier to tighten and loosen when everything's put together, because when it's up top, your screws are pointing down and out. When it's on the bottom, your screws are pointing up, up, and out. So it makes joining things together a lot easier. Whew, been a long day. So anyway, big thank you to Death Lord for turning me on to the conduit system. I like his tent joiners. I wish I could afford them, but since I can't, this is a nice little cheap alternative. But the conduit system is definitely a very cool idea, and I hope to eventually be able to afford to swap out all my 1/2 inch for nice sturdy 1 inch and do the tent stakes and everything, so it will be very sturdy. But this is good for both inside and outside. If you were to do on the outside, you could use stakes into the ground and some cables to solidify the structure a little more. And I think that's about all I can think of right now. So hope you guys found this informative. Later.